Good morning, guys. Mr. Brigham here, and I am going to walk you through some information about folktales today. We are going to go as quickly as we can, but also provide you with the information that you will need as we explore folktales in an upcoming unit. So, folktales, what we are going to focus on about folktales is that different cultures tend to tell similar stories. You'll see here a book on the right-hand side of the screen, and that book is from a famous scholar named Joseph Campbell, who studied stories from different cultures, folktales from different cultures, and really explained how many of them are actually all telling the same story. While there are many different heroes that appear in these stories, it's almost as if you have one hero with 1,000 faces. Our essential question for this unit is going to be, how do folktales represent the traditions and beliefs of a time and people through imaginative representations? So what is a folktale? A folktale is a story originating in popular culture, typically passed on by word of mouth. So these are the stories that have been told by cultures, originally beginning with oral tellings of the stories. Nothing was originally written down, and they've been passed down over time, and there are many different reasons that these folktales were shared. In fact, not only were there many different reasons that these folktales were shared, there are also many different types of folktales. We have fairy tales, and myths, and legends, and fables, and tall tales, and pourquoi stories, and even trickster tales. Fairy tales are one type of folktale that include good and evil characters. They usually have one hero or heroine. There's often magic involved. And these are the stories that you remember that begin once upon a time. The conflicts in these stories, again, which are generally battles between good and evil, these conflicts are generally solved through kindness, courage, or intelligence. In addition to fairy tales, we have pourquoi stories. These are the stories that explain why or how. They explain why something is as it is, or they explain how something usually came to be, and they often explain something in nature. So these pourquoi stories actually are a group of different types of folktales that include most myths, tall tales, and legends. We also have fables. Fables are stories that teach a lesson or have a moral. A lot of our fables usually have animals with human characteristics as the main characters, and they normally do not directly state the moral. As you read the story, you have to figure out what the moral of the story is. We also have trickster tales. A lot of these tales come from Africa or Native American traditions. You have one character who is usually the protagonist, and they're just a clever individual that causes problems for other characters. What often is unique about these tales is that the trickster causes problems for other people, but they don't normally face a punishment. Folktales, like most stories, follow common patterns, and that's what we're going to be looking at as we examine folktales. We are going to be looking for the patterns that occur throughout them. So, we will be looking for things like supernatural elements, the ability to fly or use magic or speak to spirits, all of those powers that are beyond the normal power. Even a power like using the Force if you're a Star Wars fan. We're going to look for things like impossible tasks that are asked of the main character. These tasks might include things like, oh, I don't know, spinning a room full of straw into gold. Easy. We're going to look for happy endings in our stories, where the conflict is resolved and everyone moves off and lives happily ever after. In addition to supernatural elements, the impossible task, and a happy ending, we may also encounter a moral lesson, something that the story teaches us about the proper way to behave in our culture. Here we have the example of the tortoise and the hare, showing us that hard work is more important than skill. We'll also look out for animals, especially animals that act like or interact with human beings. And one final thing we'll be looking for is the idea of stock characters. Stock characters tend to be characters that are very similar, that appear in stories over and over again. One example of a stock character would be the evil stepmother or the evil queen. So I went through that information pretty quickly, and we will continue to work with it in class. If you have any questions, please just see me in class, or you can always shoot me an email at ben_brigham@maranacook.com. And hey guys, thank you for your attention. Always remember, Yoda best. Have a great rest of your day.